Guys, look who's back. It's the Thumber Chad. He's back. I went back to the LGS today and the mat was still there 2 weeks later. And I got some more stories to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I get so many things that can happen out at LGS. It's kind of an amazing thing. And, I do my thing. I get some cards, I get some boosters, pick up some singles here and there. Just, see what's up, see what's new with the store. And, there's always pods going on. And, if that's the case, I'll just take a seat at an open table and I'll just kind of start opening some packs and, just wait for people to come in, see what's going on. And, people come, people go. And, I'm already starting to, getting ready for a pod to break up. And, some people are going out to eat some food. And it looks like a guy's going to be able to join up with us. And then like another couple people came in and they bought some things and, they just came over and saw that I was opening up some packs and they were just kind of like commenting on some of the cards I got. And yeah, and then I was like, hey, are you all playing today? And they're like, oh, like I'm from France and I don't have any of my decks, but I just came here to play with just to buy some cards. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, hey, if you want, come on over and if you'd like, you can play one of my decks. And so I just kind of popped out some of my decks I had. I really wanted to play the Anawan today. I really liked the way it looked, from a day or two ago. And I was really itching to kind of get into the LGS and see how it would work. And so I popped out a couple of the decks, and I thought Greasefang would just be great. A nice, like, kind of straightforward deck, kind of a fun one, kind of a more, stronger type of deck, too. That would be kind of a nice one to see maybe someone else pilot. Sure enough, we sit down, we do a couple little trading with the other person in this pod. It's a 3-person pod. And I'm kind of jazzed because the guy draws his cards from the Greasefang deck, and he's like, I'm good. Like he was pretty excited. He's like, oh, I get to play a card that I do not get to play in my pod, and I was like, God, what is it? It's like Entomb or something. And sure enough, it was a Soul Ring. But anyways, it was great to see him pilot this deck. The Greasefang deck in particular, he did a phenomenal job. He utilized the cards very well, and it was really nice to see some of the interactions that he was doing, and some of the things that some even points that it almost seemed like he knew how to play my deck better than myself, which was kind of it's kind of a very humbling experience. But he ended up definitely taking the win with this deck, and he really utilized the dredge effect so well. So, for instance, let's go. He did get into the imp, the stink something or other. We'll see what it's called, but essentially what that card does is that whenever it's in your graveyard, you can go ahead and whenever you draw a card, you can dredge. So he was utilizing, really, I'll show you kind of the loop that he was doing, and he was just he was putting so many cards into the grave, and I was like, wow, this was really something to see. It took him a second to like find some of the bigger vehicles, but he identified the smuggler's buggy immediately. He knew that was like a top choice. He was definitely looking to resurrect and hide away with that one. He was extremely knowledgeable about magic in general. He was a very good pilot, and I mean, he even went for Lobelia first before going into the Greasefang, just so he could have a sack outlet. So that was also very impressive. Like, he was very patient. He took his time. Yeah, just very solid. One of the first hits that he had was the cyber ship. That was just fantastic. He just went ahead and resurrected this thing, and this card is a pretty whacked out card. It just comes out with the Greasefang, and it deals 8 damage in the air, and then you get to create 2/2 Cybermen artifact creatures. It's just insane. It's such good fodder for Yawgmoth and such. It's just insane, man. That cyber ship is super good. So yeah, I mean, the yard was incredible. Too bad he milled the Brilliant Restoration, because that would have been really something to see him resurrect all those things off. Because he pretty much milled like half the deck into the graveyard. It was insane. So for instance, there's Yawgmoth. Okay, so here it is. This is like kind of the two card combo. He even had a Guarding the New Benalia, so that was kind of nice too. But so essentially, he was able to continue to like kind of loop this back into the graveyard, the Stinkwood Imp, and each time he would draw a card, if he would draw a card, he was just dredging. I really haven't worked with this card too much at all. Like, I thought it would just be like, I never thought about the merits of just putting it back into the graveyard and then like drawing a card and dredging over and over again. But he did it very well, and he also the way he did it too was also with Yawgmoth. So I mean, he was getting some fodder with the vehicles and whatever else he had in the board with creatures that were kind of expendable. And yeah, that was kind of the nice thing, and he just kept building the yard over and over again. So it was a really, really cool interaction. He did it very well, and I was very surprised for someone that maybe wasn't like, hadn't played this deck too often. They seemed to pick up on it very quickly. So a very good, very impressive player actually. The other gentleman we played with too, he had a very cool deck. He was playing the Teamer Commander that reduces creature costs by 1 when you play a creature. It was definitely on the more high powered side. It has some stronger cards like Survival of the Fittest. There's some you get a couple of those chains that kind of get into those loops. So all in all, a great showing by the Greasefang deck, and with a good pilot as well. So that was nice to see. So Greasefang definitely stepped it up. I did play the Anawan deck, and Anawan did really well too. Like, I had a mulligan twice, so I had to go down to 6. So that was kind of brutal. It was just basically mana screw. It wasn't anything else. But looking back at the game, I was just kind of looking at these cards in particular, and this one, I liked this card a lot, but I was misplaying it, and the guy from France, he totally called me out on it. And like, how could he do that? Like, he just knows all these cards? Like, or maybe he just, read it very quickly, but, I thought that when the Keeper of the Keys came onto the battlefield, that all my creatures, like, by de facto, were unblockable because I was the Monarch. Once I was the Monarch with the Keeper of the Keys, that means all my stuff is unblockable. But that's not how this card works. So, and then he immediately corrected me. He's like, no, it's at the beginning of your upkeep. If you're the Monarch, then your creatures can't be blocked this turn. It was a big kind of blow because I had a Zerasan on the battlefield, and I thought I was gonna start, taking some things from this massive graveyard he had. But sure enough, it wasn't to be. So this card seems not ideal to me anymore. Like, I like the card. I think it's fine. I think there might be better choices. So that was the one that I'm considering at this time cutting. Reconnaissance Mission these ones are fine too. It's just kind of more redundancy with Anawan. And I am playing Kindred Discovery. So and Bident of Thassa. So it's just kind of like a little too much redundancy, I think. And then Into the Story too. This in the opener is just god awful. I mean, it's just kind of a dead weight in your hand, to be honest. So I didn't really like the way this looked either. I really needed like an additional mana. Even after mulling, I didn't draw, and I play like 40 lands in this deck. I still didn't. I have to get to 4, and even with like a Felwar Stone, I was stuck on 3. It was really frustrating. It was like really broke up my sequencing. So I did have some like 3 different options that I kind of want to, and I looking at these cards. Sometimes you look at your binder and you're like, this thing's just been sitting there, and it just needs to be in my deck like This card needs to be in my deck. Like, why hasn't it been in my deck yet? So, Thada Adele, this, I picked this up, I think, like way back in the day. And it's just obviously a good choice. I could search up someone's library for a nice artifact, like a mana rock, and perhaps play it, like for anything. People play all sorts of stuff, soul rings, other zero cost artifacts, something there that will help me, like, generate mana. That would probably be probably a skillful card too, because I'd have to identify and kind of think of the decks that have the best outcome for me too, more artifact heavy decks. So Dada Adele seems like a very good choice. I like that one very much. This one too seems perfect too. Lorien Revealed seems like a perfect choice, where I could just go ahead and island cycle this one, and if I need to, or I can just go ahead and draw the 3 cards for the 5. I mean, it's fine. Either one seems great. So I'm very excited for this sweet Lorien Reveal to add, just to like make sure I'm hitting that 4th land drop. Jesus. And then the Wayfarer's Bauble. So that's just like our off-color kind of mana ramp, where we can just kind of like look for it and kind of go ahead and get that extra land on the board. Make sure that we get there. We really want to be able to play Anawan. This card is integral to our strategy. We wanted to get this thing on the battlefield at a reasonable rate. So we're kind of going with that. That dragon looks so good, guys. Look at that thing. But yeah, I mean, overall, the deck seems pretty solid for just Dimir. It just seems like a good Dimir deck, just with the creatures and all. I think I like all the choices in here very much. I like all the rogues in here. Kind of like the synergy. So yeah, overall, I'm happy with the Anawan deck. I feel like, despite kind of getting mana screwed and having a mulligan still, and then get mana screwed again, I still got up to like 6 mana with a Dowsing Dagger. So this deck can still like it's still got a little resiliency, and then it's just up to like, the pilot and the seat to kind of take care of it from there. But I learned a lot from today's game. I learned that a Yawgmoth needs to be killed like immediately, because in a Greasefang deck, that thing is stupid, so stupid good. Oh man, that was just out of control. So yeah, it was just a great experience. Actually, someone like having to play your deck, I got to see it from like a new set of eyes and a new perspective, and someone that actually knows a lot about Magic, which was very cool. And yeah, I guess they were just on vacation here from CES. So if you're watching this video one day, that was very cool, man. That was a very cool game that we had, and I appreciate you. It was very fun. Yeah, they were just looking for some magic, just a little bit of magic action. There it is, right there, Yawgmoth, just a beast. Man, this loop with the dredge, that's just crazy too. I never even thought about it. I thought this would just be like synergy for the vehicles, to put the vehicles in the yard. I never thought about putting this back in the yard. Of course, guys. So yeah, so I'll read this card for you. Stinkwood Imp. The 2 colors, 1 black, flying. Whenever Stinkwood Imp deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. Has the dredge 5. If you draw a card, instead you may pick exactly 5 cards from the top of your library into your graveyard. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Otherwise, draw a card. So you're just looping this. I think he like sacrificed like 3 things at once and was just like searching for like maybe like a Parhelion, or I think he looked through the deck and kind of got an idea of what was going on. And yeah, I think he was kind of searching for some of those bigger hits. So but yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, this is like probably one of my nicer decks too, and it's just very budgety. Like, you don't have to pay too much for your mana base. It's just like, has some, we have some nice hits like the Deadly Rollick, and that's kind of went down in price. That's not too bad anymore. Teleportation Circle, that's a nice one. That's not too bad. Yeah, so like Palantir, that's kind of a more pricey one, I guess. But yeah, it's got all the kind of nice ones here, nice vehicles and nice ones. Oh, Springleaf Drum has just been like a really good boon for my decks, I think, just to get a little more acceleration. Nautiloid Ship, Mesmeric Orb. These are just all fantastic for this deck. Bolas Citadel. Interestingly enough, he was saying that the cards in the like the packs, the product themselves in France is like very expensive. He said it's like very pricey, and really the way they get cards there like at a more affordable rate is through like the online marketplaces. Otherwise, like the product in the store is just much more marked up. So I want to make sure that I'm not duplicating cards in here. No, I have a Springleaf Drum. Okay, there's my Bauble. Yeah, I have those in there too. A little extra ramp. So how fantastic. And this Reaver Titan was the one that what sealed up the game for him. What a beast of a card this is. You know what card performed really well too, and I was very pleasantly surprised and happy to see that I like really put in some work, was the Okiba Reckoner raid. Giving the vehicle's menace definitely made a difference too. Made it much harder to kind of interact with, and it definitely made the game kind of speed up. So let me try to find that one for y'all. And then I think it's a wrap. It was just another day at the LGS, another successful day. Okay, so there's the Akiba Reckoner raid, and yeah, just the rate is good, right? So you get basically you get 4, up to 6 life taken away to those chapter 1s and 2s through your opponents, because it's like 2 through the 1 and 2 for each opponent, so like 6 life, and then you gain 2. So it's a good rate, right, already. And then that 3rd cycle, it turns into this rat, and then you'll see here. This is just a 1-mana card. It's pretty crazy. And then vehicles this has menace itself, and then the vehicles you control have menace. So pretty brutal card, to be honest. So yeah, I guess Greasefang was the winner tonight. So that was it. Some fun gameplay, to be honest. A lot of, always surprised to see what happens, Always interesting things. Say bye to the dragon. Bye, dragons. Bye, everybody.